quotes is by Matthew Vassar, who started Vassar Women's College, and he said he did so because he realized that the mothers of a country mold its citizens, determine its institutions, and shape its destiny. You are very significant. And what you are doing is the greatest act of patriotism that you can perform for your country. Moms are starting to realize just how important their role is on the front lines of freedom. We are raising the future generations. So that is the whole entire reason why we developed the Mothers of Influence Awards. And there are so many awards out there that are given to women and what they do in their work and their industry and all of those things. But there are very few, if any, that are given to mothers, because that's what we are first. And it's why we do what we do. So we sat down as a board at the beginning of the year, and we said, okay, we need to decide there's some really great mothers out there who have done some really incredible things. Who do we choose? And then something crazy happened with COVID. And I think it was probably around the middle of April when they all started calling me and saying, oh, Governor Noem, she's got to get the Mother of Influence Award. And when you look at this amazing mother and what she has done serving in Congress, being separated from her family, and the incredible family that supports her, and you know that man has got to be awesome to be that support. She can't do what she does without him. And then the rock star governor of the nation, who stands up. She speaks truth. She actually follows the science that they keep telling us that we should follow. And she institutes policies that are going to promote freedom and be responsible to actually fix problems instead of creating more of them. Every time I talk to anybody who is in elected office, I met with several people talking about what policies on a city or a county level or state level should we make, and I'm like, just look at Governor Noem, do what she's doing. And I think a lot of people are starting to do that because they're seeing the success that you've had. You do not have to destroy a business to protect people from a virus. And you know what? People are capable of protecting themselves. You just give them the facts and the truth and they'll do it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to choke up, but I just want you to know that I think you are amazing. Because we need more people who are going to stand up for truth, for freedom, for family, and be that common sense voice that we need. And so, of course, it would be a mother. So today, of course, we just want to be able to tell you how much we appreciate you, and we're doing so with the Mothers of Influence Awards.
Well, that's incredibly humbling way to be introduced. So this is gonna be a little bit of a different speech than I typically give because it's the Mothers of Influence. I feel as though, well, I just think it's really special that all my kids could be here for this. I have my kids and my family. So I'm just going to share a couple of personal stories. Cassidy's my oldest. She's married to Kyle. She's 26, Kennedy's 23, and Booker's 18. So from the time that even when I found out I was pregnant with Cassidy, I was 22 years old. Brian and I had been married a couple of years, but when I was 8 months pregnant with Cassidy was when my dad was killed in an accident. And that's really when our entire life turned upside down. Because he was 49 years old at the time, and he was running a lot of businesses, a large farming operation. And that's when I quit college and took over the operation. Our family got hit with death taxes at the time, and it made me angry. Because I could not believe that we would have a tragedy in our family and then all of a sudden the federal government would come forward with a policy that would threaten taking our family business away. So people are always trying to figure out and understand why I'm making the decisions that I make as a leader, as a governor. And it really is because of my experience, the way I was raised, and the things that I've gone through. And I think many times in this country we talk about challenges like they're a bad thing. In my life, challenges have been incredibly powerful. They've been teaching moments, and they've been instances where we've taken that challenge and turned it into an opportunity. And they ask all the time, Kristi, how'd you get involved in government and politics? And it was that experience when I was pregnant with Cassidy that we had this threat from the federal government to take away a business that had been in our family for generations. And I decided to start showing up. just going to meetings, weighing in on policy, recognizing that we needed a woman's perspective, we needed a mom's perspective in these discussions, and that we would have better laws, we'd have better statutes, we have better policies if that perspective was at the table for those conversations. But I think a lot of people don't really know what happens to a family when you serve in public service. And I think for me in particular, I was raised by a dad that was incredibly tough. He was a cowboy. And so he had us kids do impossible things. I think one of the greatest gifts that my parents gave me, and I would encourage all parents to do this, is to give your kids impossible things to do. He would tell us to go do jobs that we thought we could never accomplish. For instance, my dad taught me to drive a semi at age 12. And actually, he didn't even teach me. He put it on the road and got it going down the road and jumped out the door and said, take it home and make your corners wide. So I cried all the way home. But I made it. But that was how he taught us to do everything. And I think that was one of the greatest gifts that they gave to us, was the fact that they gave us impossible things to do, and it made us problem solvers. It made us be critical thinkers that can rise to the challenge and really look at something and figure out how to get it done. The other thing that I would say is incredibly important is I was 13 years old. I remember being really insecure as a young girl. I was chubby. I didn't think I had any gifts. I didn't think I had any talents. I couldn't speak in public. I just was very insecure. In fact, my mom was extremely worried about me. And I remember one day she sat me down at the kitchen table and she opened up her Bible and she said, Kristi, I know how you see yourself, and I know you think that you're worthless. She said, I want to talk to you about how God sees you. And she opened up Deuteronomy and she read me a scripture verse that said, you are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. And spoke to me scripture of how God saw me in my life and the impact that I could have. And spent just 10 minutes talking to me, not about my view of myself, but how God saw me and what I could be. And what I think is so interesting about that moment when my mom sat me down as a 13-year-old girl and said that to me is that I bought it. That those words that she spoke over me, it completely changed my perspective on who I was. And from that day on, I was a different person. My mom would even say, she said, it was so incredible to me to watch the transformation in you. You had a confidence that you'd never had before. You had an ability to go and try new things. And my life really changed. And so what I think looking back on that situation was the teaching moment of the fact that words are powerful. And we should never miss an opportunity to speak life into people, and especially our children. And mothers have the opportunity to do this all the time, to speak to their children words of affirmation, not necessarily critical words, and to speak things that will change their perspective on how they view themselves, the leaders that they will be in the future, and really how they could be inspired to really step up for our country and really protect it and make it as great as it always has been for hundreds of years. That's what I would remind mothers and parents is, I think right now in this country we are crippling our children. We are crippling our children by giving them everything and doing everything for them. And really what our job is to do as mothers is to prepare them for life. And the way that we do that is letting them go through some hard times, making them figure things out a little bit by themselves, and encouraging them, but also making sure that we're allowing them to become those problem solvers that we need. That was probably the greatest gifts that my parents gave to me. I hope my kids have learned some of that. I think that the job that they've had as being my children has not been easy. I have been, Booker was 4 or 5 years old when I got elected to the legislature. Is that correct, Brian?
State legislature?
Yeah. Yeah, so these kids came to the state legislature with me and ran around the Capitol, and oftentimes I had to go look for them. And one day I couldn't find Booker for several hours. He was about 4 years old, and he ran by me in the hallway of the state Capitol, and I grabbed him and I said, "Where have you been?" He said, "Well, we were upstairs throwing straws out the window, and then we were chasing geese out on the front lawn." So they had an opportunity to grow up not just in the state capitol in Pierre, but also in the U.S. Capitol. And it was an incredible opportunity for them. But I would say that it's been hard, too, because there's a lot of people who are pretty critical of their mom. But they also are incredibly strong people. And I'm so proud of them and all that they do and how involved they are, how conservative they are, and they all love the Lord. And I think that's really a testimony to Brian too, because frankly, I was gone quite a bit. We made a rule that whenever I was home, that we all had to be together. And so we traveled and they campaigned and they went to meetings and sat through a lot of boring stuff. But we did this job as a family. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's been such a special opportunity for us. They are incredible people, and I'm proud of them and what they can do in the future. I tell people all the time, my legacy will be my children. My legacy will be the children. They will be 10 times the leaders that I'll ever be. So this is probably the most special award I've ever received because I love my family. When I ran for governor, it was on building strong families. It was about South Dakota could be an example to the nation, and we would do that by focusing on strong families because that really is the foundation of this country. So the fact that you would honor me with this today means the world to me. And I'll do my very best to never let people down and do what I can, but also make sure that we're doing the right things and that we are standing for truth, because that at the end of the day is what preserves this country. And our country gives us incredible opportunities each and every day, incredible opportunities to be great. And every single person in this country to have the best opportunity to achieve everything that they'd ever wanted to be. So thank you for this honor. Thank you for starting the organization, for being passionate about it. Your heart is evident. And if there's one thing we need in this country right now is we need people to humanize each other again, to love each other, and to come together and talk about what really is important. And you do that every day. So thank you for your passion and your love and commitment. God bless you. Thank you.